Well, we're on Tottenham High Road outside the CONEL, that's the College of North East London.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's already happening. People need to realise, and it's breaking down the family, and it's breaking down communities, which is what it's doing.
Well, we're on Tottenham High Road outside the CONEL, that's the College of North East London. And there's a rather large gathering here today because it looks like Haringey Council have accommodated the college behind us to have a meeting. But it's not a public meeting, and the public are outside and they're not very happy about it. Peter Smarthet, an active campaigner. Great to see you down here. I mean, look, it's spreading absolutely everywhere. Now people are concerned about 15-minute neighbourhoods. What's going on?
It's gone beyond ridiculous. You know, they're running the place like a dictatorship. The consultations have gone out the window. You know, they really don't care what we think. They're pressing ahead with it regardless, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. You know, when they are running consultations, we find out they're being run by sus trains, and sus trains, as you probably know, have links to the cycling lobby.
Well, I think these are one of the biggest problems that people have got is that 2/3 of most communities are just simply not voting.
Exactly.
Why is that?
I don't know why the apathy is, to be honest with you. I think people are just fed up with it. You know, because it's the same old over and over again.
So they've got nothing to vote for.
They've got nothing to vote for them. Exactly that. Yeah.
Well, from what I can see out here today, it's a massive crowd. Yeah. Every single time that this subject comes up, people are out on the streets. Surely these councils have got to listen sooner or later.
Well, you'd have thought as much, wouldn't you? You know, at the end of the day, it is a democracy, not a dictatorship. They've got to listen to the people. You know, we're not asking for much.
Well, I'm here because I'm against the LTNs in Tottenham and the way that they've been imposed on the community. I cannot believe that a Labour council would inflict this on Tottenham residents in November at a time of a cost of living crisis, and they're you've got elderly people who've got 5 tickets and they don't know how they're going to pay them because they didn't understand the signage. It's absolutely appalling what's happened. What they've done is they've turned virtually the whole of Tottenham into a low traffic neighbourhood. I know what LTNs are. There's a map of 25 in Haringey. They've chosen to put 3 neighbouring, St Anne's, West Green and Bruce Grove, forcing us anyone that drives onto the main road. They didn't do an impact assessment, which they should have done, when we've got 3 bus routes go on West Green Road and there's no bus lane. So people that get the buses are late for appointments, late for work, children are arriving late for schools, the pupils are getting detentions, and really it's not the pupils' fault. I'm a school governor and I'm concerned about pupils' safety. Because you've got young people who are 11 years old, 12 years old, they live in Tottenham, they're at Haringey Girls' School, they can't get a bus home, they're having to walk home. It's not safe, and also you've got young women who go out on a weekend and the Ubers won't drop them at their door.
Well, again, this puts everybody at risk. And yet, here today, listen to the sound of the motorists passing by, tooting their horns in appreciation of this.
Yeah.
What do you think it'll take to make the council listen?
They say it's an 18-month trial. They're not listening, they want the money. They estimate £6 million in the first year. It's all about the money. It's about revenue. Why do you think that they never put the LTNs in the west of the borough? Because the residents would have been in uproar and they'd have had to remove them. they're not listening to Tottenham residents.
Well, they're not just not listening, I think you're absolutely right. And I think our viewers must agree. Across the boroughs in London, and certainly reaching out into the suburbs as well, it looks like it is all about the money. There's nothing we can do about that at the moment, but that appears to be what they are pursuing. Brian, it's very nice to see you once again. Obviously, it's not so nice, the fact that you're here once again protesting. Once again, you know, he's out here too, and everyone can see what's going on. These LTNs are definitely impacting on people. They're especially impacting on the elderly and the disabled. Since I last spoke to you a few weeks ago, that video's gone viral. How's it been for you? Has the council taken any notice?
There's been no change, no movement, no discussion coming forth from the council since we last met, since the last protest, since all these people are out explaining, expressing their disapproval and the difficulties they're finding. And of course today we're discovering what should be a very much an open meeting to discuss that, where we can hear from the council for the first time properly as to what's meant to be happening. And they've shut people out, and they've seemed to have shut their openness down. And that's, you know, very worrying that that's the approach they seem to have taken.
I think one of the greatest worries that people are having now is they appear to be pulling communities apart. They're pitting people against each other. There are people who love fresh air, who doesn't love fresh air, of course. There are people who like their gated communities. But it really is leaving a lot of have-nots, isn't it? I mean, how are we going to resolve this if the council's not going to listen to people? And why do you think it might be that the mainstream media seem to be looking at the balance of both sides and leaving it at that? This is putting a balance, but clearly there's an imbalance, isn't there?
My concern with the approach of the council is their reaction to what is a community coming together. These are our neighbours. They live these streets, they walk these streets, they take their children on these streets. They can see what's going on. The reaction of the council is to label them extremists, is to label them as outsiders. So there's nothing there that the council's doing to bring a resolution. In terms of how it's being portrayed outside, there's been a lot of positive, there's been a lot of explanation, and if I am honest, I would say that, you know, there is more coverage coming from outside than we might have expected, and it does reflect a large part the concerns of the local people. But it's important we just keep going. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to keep going until we hear from them inside.
I mean, obviously, the councillors I've noticed in all the boroughs say the same old things, the same old mantra. They say, we have got in with a mandate to do these exercises, to put in these livable neighbourhoods, low traffic neighbourhoods. They say they've got a mandate to do it, and yet when you examine the figures, as much as 2/3 of some boroughs don't even vote, so less than a third are voting, and less than that are giving them a supposed majority. How are we going to redress this? Should there be a new political party? Is something extra needed in communities that we're missing?
What I'm hoping comes from this is people who've never engaged with the political systems are seeing that the local authority has an impact on their lives. It directly has an impact on their lives, and I'm hoping they will take it forward from here in whatever form they choose, but to engage more with the political system, to come out and vote, to get their voice heard, to raise the issues. Because I think that's the only way that we might begin to see some change and bring the officers and the office of the councillors back to where the people are, and that's what's needed.
So it's all falling apart. They're all on their own in the ivory towers, and you want them to come out of the ivory towers, talk with you, and get this all worked out for everybody. After all, the rest of the 2/3 of these boroughs are having these changes implemented upon them, obviously by force.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there is a solution, and there's no doubt that these people here aren't voting for pollution. They're not voting for more cars, more danger, more traffic, more harm. Everybody wants that solution, but it's the portrayal of the good people who've turned up, who are making their voices heard, as these people who are somehow in favour of those things, and it's that negativity which is causing the conflict. The conflict's not coming from these people here.
Good evening, sir. I think I've seen you at another protest somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're down here now.
Barnsley. Well, just showing support. Just showing a bit of support.
This is obviously some form of solidarity. I mean, I know that in Islington, like you do, I know that in Hackney and Camden, these LTNs are being rolled out and no one's getting much of a say in being able to do anything. But clearly you're very active across the boroughs. What's in your heart about this?
We all need to be together with this. We can't do it separately. It all has to be done together or we won't win. And we've got to stop what they're doing.
Well, I know you've worked quite hard in being able to talk to members of the council to try to get some form of resolution, and you've made it quite clear that obviously people are not happy with it, they shouldn't have it. What's your experience been of recent times talking to the council?
Well, I attended a meeting with the head of planning on Monday, and all I kept getting was his hand and being told to shush. They were basically not interested in anything we had to say, and really what they're saying is that whatever they've decided is going through, regardless.
So it doesn't matter how people vote then?
It doesn't look like it.
But I mean, you know, I believe there are huge figures of people that are not voting in these boroughs.
Yeah, I think it's
what's
about
the rationale?
Sorry?
What's the rationale, do you think, behind that? Why aren't people voting?
I think they're going to start voting because it's affecting them now, but things didn't affect them before. And it's done through habit. Like, I've got an aunt who votes because her granddad's granddad voted Labour. And she knows they're messing it up, but she still votes Labour, it's habit. But now people are realising that what Labour are doing is just not good enough.
Do you think there's some kind of an opportunity for some new type of political organisation that takes care of people at basic levels?
In my opinion,
clearly, neither of the ones are doing it at the moment.
My opinion, we need to dig up Oliver Cromwell and get rid of all of them and start again, fresh blood.
Oliver Cromwell, and you're down here at Haringey. Well, thanks very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Tyler, how are you? Now, it's a freezing cold night, but you've taken the trouble to come out here. Why are you here?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I've lived here all my life, right? And Tottenham is just not the same anymore. I've got a little one myself, and just to get around is just a pain. It just needs to stop. I just feel like the whole government, the way things are changing, is just not going to our favour, it's more going to their favour, and it just needs a change. So I picked up myself and I said, well, support, definitely, yeah.
Well, your physical presence is incredibly important.
Thank you.
Many of our viewers look in, some of them can't actually get out, and a lot of people don't understand this, but you're taking really solid action now. So you've had to have your little one looked after somewhere so you can come out and protest.
Exactly.
Now, what are the real, I mean, obviously they've been locking down areas in a sense that if you don't live in an area, if you drive in an area, you're going to get a fine, aren't you?
No, well, for example, I live 15 minutes away from my mum's house, right? And it was literally just going through a couple of roads, and I used to be just there, 15 minutes top, 12 minutes top. Now with everything that's changed, it now takes me 45 minutes to get to my mum's house and back home.
Wow, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a shocking amount of time.
Exactly.
So it's 19 minutes round journey, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
1.5 hours.
And they say that this is mostly for pollution, but I feel like I'm spending more time being on the road, spending 45 minutes to get to my parents' house, just, you know...
Emitting more fumes from the vehicle.
Exactly, yeah.
And, well, they're going to use that against you and say you're polluting more.
Well, the thing is, I used to take 10 minutes to get there, so I was never polluting, you know what I mean? So now I am polluting more because you guys have cut everything just to get to...
What are the important steps that you've taken, I think, is you've seen something's wrong, you've identified it, you've got your facts and your figures, and you know what you're talking about, and that's very important, that people do know why they're campaigning against such a matter. But the problem I think you're faced with is that your councillors that represent you are in the building across here from us, just a few yards away. They're not going to be able to talk to you. No. You know, young mum, you got a child, and you're having serious problems getting to see your own mother.
Well, problems like this, like you just think to yourself, you know, where's the MP? Where's David Lammy? Where's all the support that you're supposed to have in this community to not allow situations like this to happen? And unfortunately, like you said, we do not have that support. So, yeah.
Do you know, it's very interesting you mentioned the MP David Lammy, because his name keeps cropping up again and again, that he just doesn't seem to address in these situations. Now, obviously, he's a member of the Labour Party, and clearly he's towing the Labour whip, which is to go with these schemes. But I would ask that we used to have an MP here when I used to live here called Bernie Grant, and I have to say he was different, and I cannot imagine he'd have taken this one lying down, and he would have really been at the forefront of this. So we really need someone politically, don't we, that's going to
someone
fight
that's
your
going to
cause.
be on our corner, exactly. And I hope that you know, people are listening and someone is willing to do something about it. Not just us. We've got neighbouring boroughs as well that's not, you know, in their part. Just so, you know, we all need to come as a community to stand up and, you know, to stand up to these bullies. I call them bullies. That's what they are, bullies. Yeah.
So you're calling them out for exactly what they are.
They are bullies. Yeah.
Okay. So they're pushing you around. They're pushing other people around.
Yeah.
And it's also very punitive because if you end up getting fines from going through these particular areas...
Which I did already, yeah.
Oh, you already have? And how
Yes.
much do they find you?
Well, I've been fined 4 times now.
Wow.
So if you can imagine £65 times the 4, it's a lot, and I'm a single mum, so it's a lot. It's
No,
really
that's
a lot,
cruel. I mean, that's a lot of nappies and baby food,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah,
No.
and it's just, where do you find the money with the price range and everything else, and then just in your area as well, you can't circulate. I just feel like it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so, you know, they're taking more money from you, and I don't suppose you're a millionaire-ess, are you?
No, I'm looking for them.
So, right, okay. So the other thing has to be this. If you've got a lot of money, for example, it's not a problem to drive through, you just drive anyway.
Well, not really, because even if you've got a lot of money, regardless of the situation, it's still money that you don't need to spend. It's money that was not necessarily needed.
Well, I'll be honest, what I'm trying to put over to you is, if you're a very well-paid, let's say, councillor or MP, it's a drop in the ocean, and it's just something it's like a toll, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it really isn't a problem. You just put down your business of being.
Yeah.
So really, if you do have a lot of money, it's not a problem. In other words, it's okay for them. But for people like yourself who are struggling in this terrible crisis that people are going through, particularly yourself as a single mum, it doesn't bear thinking about. But there's more than one of you around, I'm sure.
Exactly. So for all of us that's out here, I just continue to just hope that we all fight, so that they can just stop and, you know, put our community back to how it was. Or even make it better. If they want to make it better, it's fine. But I just feel like we need to be included in the conversations, asked about what is also best for our community, and not just making drastic decisions just like Deceiver,
So it's talk, it's discussed. She wants a Supremo. We want someone to represent these people. And she's calling out for this, as are many other people. Look, thank you so much for taking the time out today. It's freezing cold. I admire you for what you do. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, so my take on what's going on right now, it's bigger than what it seems. And it's very important that we win this war, and it is a war against a huge world domination theory. That's what's going on. So we need to stop this. And they're not going to back down. No council will back down. They're going to keep going because it's causing traffic jams. That's what it's causing, and they want people out of their cars, because that's part of.
I presume that
Agenda
they want traffic jams, don't they? They want to say. They want
people
traffic.
out of their cars. And we've already had cases now of ambulances not getting through and people dying. We've seen that now, right? So how can they justify that? That can't be justified in any way.
Well, I mean, let's go back to Haringey Council, for example, who are behind us having a clandestine meeting without the public. What about Victoria Climby or Baby P? These are terrible cases of just 2 deaths.
Yeah.
And yet we've got people dying in ambulances on the way to hospital because they can't get there because the roads are closed.
Fire engines get through, you know.
As if to be on cue.
Yeah.
So what's really concerning us is that it's not just that they're closing off areas, they're creating zones, or as a lot of people have referred to as pens for sheep.
What?
I mean, and if you want to go in there, they're going to charge you lots of money if you're not due to go in there. What's all that about, and what is this 15-minute city business? What's that?
Well, it is part of Agenda. I mean, it sounds like a tinfoil hat thing, doesn't it? But it is part of Agenda 2030. It really is.
Well, I think the fines and these LTN areas, they're very real now, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that is the thing. They want people off the roads. They want to keep people confined. They want to control people. They want to bring in, they want a technocratic world. where they can control everything. And a way of doing that is getting people out of cars. That is part of what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at the high-rise flats that they're building everywhere. They're absolutely...
Tottenham Hale is an amazing example of that, isn't it?
Yeah, Elephant and Castle.
Another one.
Look, round by Woodbury Downs, not far, just...
another one,
skyscrapers everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that is part of keeping people within boundaries. They don't want people to go out. And if you look at a lot of, they have basically cities within cities in buildings now. They have a cinema, a theatre, an hotel, a bar.
Finsbury Park as well has got the same thing, hasn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
So it's already happening, and people need to realise. And it's breaking down the family, and it's breaking down communities, which is what it's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if people can't get to shops, if people are stopped from going somewhere, then, well, you know, with Tara, you lose your business goes. You have to try and move. In the end, there'll be nowhere to move to, will there?
Well, you mentioned Tara. I mean, we spoke to Tara on a few occasions previously with some other ones that we put out there, and it's absolutely shocking that an entire, very, very busy street, you know,
of course,
it's been destroyed.
Of course.
Why would you do that?
Because it's deliberate. It's deliberately destroyed. They don't care. They don't care. It's a bigger agenda. The agenda is, it's the Agenda 2030. They're using every tactic now. That's what they're doing, and they want people out of cars. And this is the way to get people out of cars. It's nothing to do with pollution or climate change.
Isn't this about taking control from individuals?
Yeah.
And what do you think is coming? Because if they're penning people off, they're pushing them into areas saying you've got everything you need, don't go any further than 15 or 20 minutes in Australia. What's coming next? This doesn't feel very nice.
Well, there isn't much more left, is there, once they do that? I mean, the thing is, it's about, you can see what it is. It's the way they want us to eat, they want us to live, they want us to move, they want to try and control, perhaps try and control our currency to a certain extent, you know?
Well, by 2030, they're going to be bringing in, obviously, the central bank digital currency, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure that makes that much of a difference, because I think they can already freeze bank accounts, and they've already done that. Look what they did to Canadian
I think
truckers.
actually, if I can introduce you to that one, we've been looking at this notion as well. A little bit disturbing. For instance, if you've got entirely digital currency and you go to pay for something, but you want to have some, say, petrol or something, you're not going to be able to get that if you've gone across the limit or your carbon limit. So they can actually control you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They can already do that. I mean, they've got a pretty good system now, haven't they, where you want to get money and they can just give you money that doesn't exist.
Another question I've been asking people, and this is across several boroughs now, you know, so many people just don't vote. In Islington, well over two-thirds of people didn't vote. So many in Haringey, Hackney, Tower Hamlets, you name it. Most people don't vote.
No,
I presume there's nothing there for them to vote for.
Well, I mean, we've got 9 million there, 9 million people in London, and only got what, supposedly, I don't know if I believe that, but over just 1 million. So how is that representative of the people of London? It's not, is it? That's not a democracy.
But,
you know,
on a positive note, perhaps, if 2/3 in most of the boroughs across London don't vote, isn't that a fantastic audience to wake up and let them realise something's going on? But if you don't like it, which they obviously don't.
The trouble is, they don't care. If they've got the infrastructure to do what they want to do, so they've got the media outlets, they've got the financial outlets, they can do what they want to do. So whether we vote or not makes no difference. We know that. Look at the way the world is now. It doesn't make no difference whether you vote or not. They're going to do what they're going to do. What the World Economic Forum, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same people. It's all the same people. Bilderberg, whatever. They're going to do what they want to do, whether you vote or not.
Well, one thing we're definitely...
Mass non-compliance is the only way. Peaceful, but non-compliance.
Well, obviously what we're definitely going to be doing is we're going to be following good people like yourselves who are saying, this is not on. You obviously care about other people. You're not being selfish. Whereas I think when we look at these councillors, they're caring about themselves. They're insisting they've got a mandate to do things on a terrible tiny minority in most cases. But you're looking after people and you're out here letting people know what's going on. So we're definitely going to be looking at this further along the line, again and again, and letting people know. So,
well, I was going to say, how can it be a democracy when people are putting in rules and restrictions when no one's voted for those rules and restrictions?
How indeed can that be democracy? And with that, thanks for joining us today.